Go back to 2019, 2020, 2021, okay. You see less than $1 billion is paid for these skin grafts. Again, these are very important procedures for the people who need them. What happens under the Biden administration? All of a sudden, we go from less than $1 billion spent on these skin grafts to $15 billion.
JD Vance showed the fraud photos. He said that money that was meant for young mothers ended up with women carrying Louis Vuitton bags. And then he also said that people defending this should be thrown out of Washington. Agree.
Now here, I want to talk about something else here. To my right, to your left. This is a program, again, there is so much fraud, or there was so much fraud in the federal government, we're taking it. Now here, I want to talk about something else here. To my right, to your left. This is a program, again, there is so much fraud, or there was so much fraud in the federal government, we're taking it off of the books. But so much fraud, I didn't even know this program existed, okay? So what is allografts? These are the, skin grafts that people get when they get a wound or they get a burn, a very, very important medical procedure. But a medical procedure that was being radically taken advantage of. So if you go back to 2019, 2020, 2021, okay. You see less than $1 billion is paid for these skin grafts. Again, these are very important procedures for the people who need them. What happens under the Biden administration? All of a sudden, we go from less than $1 billion spent on these skin grafts to $15 billion in 2025. And actually, in 2026, the number was supposed to be $25 billion. But because we cut down on fraudulent payments and fraudulent billing, we saved you $25 billion. That number is now well below $1 billion today. That's a simple, good government action.
Absolutely. Firstly, find out where exactly that's happening.
And again, my friends, we want the people who deserve these treatments, who need these treatments, to have access to them. If we spend all your money giving these treatments to fraudsters instead of giving them to the people who need them, then those programs aren't going to exist anymore. And I just have this look, we're a generous country. I love that we're a generous country.
Sometimes too much.
My family sometimes benefited from these programs that ensured that poor children would have a bite to eat or would be able to see a doctor. I sometimes had a meal because the American people were generous enough to say that we're not going to let our young American kids go hungry because their parents can't afford a bite to eat. I think that's an amazing, amazing thing about our great country, is we're generous enough to lend a helping hand to our fellow citizens in need. But when your government allows, whether in the state or the federal level, when we allow that money that ought by rights go to feed poor children, but instead goes to fraudsters, we destroy the social fabric of the United States of America. So what I take very seriously as your vice president, what Derek Van Orden and Brian Stile take very seriously as your congressional representatives, and what Donald Trump takes seriously as the President of the United States, is this sacred promise that it exists between the government of the United States and its citizens. That when you pay your tax dollars, it goes to the people who need it, not to the fraudsters, which is why we're throwing those fraudsters in prison. It's exactly where they belong. Let me talk about another program. So we have, again, these things that I didn't even know existed until I got into politics. We have a program, an amazing program, to help young mothers. And I care about this very personally. Usha is currently pregnant with baby number 4. She is 37 weeks pregnant, and I appreciate your prayers. I love you, honey, if you're watching at home. But we have a program to ensure that at-risk moms can get the prenatal care that they need. Now, you may not know this, but one of the leading causes of infant mortality in the world is actually not what happens when the baby is born. It's what happens before the baby is born. When the mom can't get the medical treatment she needs, when the mom can't get access to the resources that she needs. Okay, we try to solve that problem. And again, we are able to do so in part because of the generosity of the American taxpayer. But you know what? In Milwaukee, with the government of this state looking the other way, we had people who were allowing fraudsters to get rich off of that prenatal care without providing a dime of services to the young moms who need it. And I want to point to this woman. Now, I want to be clear that the woman in the back did nothing wrong.
Oh no, guys, we can't see
But
it.
look at this woman in the front with the smug look and the Louis Vuitton bag. A woman who quite literally stole from young mothers who needed prenatal care, and the state of Wisconsin, ladies and gentlemen, had to scale down that program because of insufficient funds. So that this woman could go and buy a Louis Vuitton bag, there were young mothers in Wisconsin who did not get access to the prenatal care that they needed. That endangers the moms, that endangers the babies. And you know what? Derek Van Orden and Brian Stile fought against it, and the congressional Democrats that they go to work with every single day fought for it. So here's a simple question, here's a simple principle. If you fight to take money away from needy moms and give it to this woman and her Louis Vuitton bags, you should have your ass thrown the hell out of Washington, D.C. You don't belong there. You don't belong anywhere in a position of influence.
I just wanted to make sure that I heard every single aspect of this here, but yeah, he's right here. And it's also not like the weirdest thing in the world here to run into people who are going to say here, the great many of people, right, are going to be able to utilize the program, and then you're finding like a small subsect of people who are definitely in a very fraudulent manner overinflating whatever program is basically being pilfered from here. We can't get rid of the program or slow things down or make things harder for people to actually kind of qualify for things, because it'll end up affecting too many people. That's generally going to be the overall argument here. They are also in the same breath allowing these things to happen at a overinflating rate, to the point where he's right here. If it did get too high, these programs do end up getting cut here. Like the fact that a program went from $0.1 billion, right, to a speculative $25 billion in 2026 here, but it was saved most likely by some type of Elon Musk, Doge type of program here. Yeah, that's a great thing, guys. So many Americans have definitely utilized at some point in their life some type of government entitlement, and there's nothing wrong with utilizing it at all here. But I do think the main problem that people actually have when it comes to government entitlements are people never getting off of said government entitlement. If you are going to be on it for the next 20 years here, that becomes an issue for, I think, many people here. But utilizing it as a leg up, or to get you kind of in a position or through a rough patch, for example, and I'm sure many Americans have no problem with that specifically. The problem normally happens when you start realizing that people are staying on it for life, or programs like Section 8 where someone expires and then that gets passed on to the next person. That doesn't make any sense here. So there are too many issues with programs like this. But I'm definitely glad that President Trump, along with his entire team here, his staff, are attempting to do something about it here. When Doge came out, I was like, thank you. Finally, we'll be able to kind of dig through where the fraud actually is happening here. We'll get some actual public insight. But obviously, we as the overall public itself, we're not getting every bit of the information here, but I think we are getting enough to understand that these things are not brand new things that are happening here. A lot of this has been happening for a long time, guys, right? But guys, listen, let me know in the comments what you guys think. I do like JD Vance though, bro. I like how he speaks. I like how he has the ability to deliver points without immediately sounding overtly biased, right? Let's just say this here. I'm not sure many politicians have the ability to kind of remain in like a neutral stance here. And I do love the idea of neutrality, specifically in politics, like having the ability to kind of openly see things while also admitting here, okay, that he took government assistance. Okay. I respect it a lot, actually. But listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly. If you guys are new here, please like and subscribe. And in the meantime, guys, I'll go and catch you guys later.